Hey man, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. Spring is starting to get into the air. What little grass there is on our front lawn is starting to be green. We have a bunny in our backyard along with a few
Another
magpies.
bunny? Nice.
I think it's the same bunny, and sometimes it has a friend, sometimes it's not there, so I don't know. So we
Hmm.
might have lots of bunnies, or we'll have no bunnies soon. I don't know.
Sure, sure. Yeah, our area is also teeming with life recently, so that's been kind of nice to see everything coming back and all that. So awesome.
Yep. The 3 weeks
And
that we get it
yeah,
here. Yeah.
for sure. So welcome back everybody to Bite My Shiny Metal Cast, episode 3 of season 5, The Root of All Evil. And yeah, please like and subscribe if you enjoy talking Futurama. This episode is an interesting one for now. I know we're only on the third episode so far, but it's an interesting episode because it has very little to do with the three main characters. Very
Yeah,
little
they're
to
kind of
do.
pushed to the background.
They're the B plot for sure, but everything else is like
I'd
nothing to
say
do
they're,
with
they're
them.
like the C plot, man, because A
What's the B
plot's
plot?
B plus the professor and Hermes, they have a great deal to
No,
do with the
they're
A
part of
plot, but
no,
they're
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 the
doing their
A.
own
They're
thing
part of
too.
the A plot. They're not. They have no other part whatsoever. They're part of the A plot because that's Dwight. The only reason Dwight and Cubert are doing anything is because of their parents. That's the only reason. No, that's the A plot. The B plot is
Nah,
definitely Leela and Bender and
that's the B
Frothy,
plot.
right? So,
Oh.
in any case, we open up with the caption disclaimer: any resemblance to actual robots would be really cool. I agree. And you know what? In the future, if people start, they're going to, obviously, they're going to start making, robots that actually look like Bender and Hedonism Bot and all that stuff, assuming that they haven't already. And they'll probably get like the AI voice modulator for Bender's voice and all this kind of stuff, walk around and, make fun of people. It'd be
Well, I
fun
mean, they already
in the
what was it?
future.
James Earl Jones retired
Yeah, he's given his
Darth Vader,
voice rights
and
over to
yeah,
Lucasfilm and Disney. Yeah, I know.
which here's what's your thoughts about that kind of thing? Just
Well,
just as a quick thing, because
he's dead now,
it's
right? So
yes, but the
there's
thing
nothing
is,
we can do.
if
Yeah.
you were to be asked, we want to use your voice as an AI kind of thing, you go, yeah, okay, cool. I'd want two things. I want to be paid up front X amount of dollars, and every time you guys use it, I want to be, given credit as well as a small amount of money. Do you think that would be something fair for something like that? Because
So
I've thought
yeah,
a lot about this stuff
I think the only reason they offered it to him is because he was
on its
getting
way out.
old and he's
Yeah,
exactly and he knows that he's dying. Or at least he knows that he won't be able to do it for much longer. So I think that's why he made that deal. And they wouldn't start using an AI version of his voice until he had died. I think that was the
yeah.
agreement. So if that's the case, then and they're like, oh yeah, we need your voice for something, then I would be okay, sure. But yeah, as of right now, you're still using my real one. But when I'm dead, I don't see that being a big issue, as long as they don't use it for any specific things. But at the same time,
Yeah, there'd probably have to
I'm
be a
dead.
list of
So
like, no, I don't want this kind of thing, and my
at the same
family
time,
will
I'm dead.
fight for you.
I've yeah, I have nothing. I have no more stakes at that point, right? So like there's nothing I can do about it. But I would hope that they would have the decency not to use my voice for bad things, like for James Earl Jones and for Darth Vader. But I do like that they can still do it because it is such an iconic version of his voice, right? To
Oh
have
yeah,
Darth
yeah.
Vader not sound the way that he does is very strange. But yes, little digression there. But
Well,
yeah,
it's just
let's
because
get
I
on to
think
the
about the same
episode.
thing with
Yeah,
motion capture too, right? Because like someone does a
sure, sure,
stunt,
sure, sure. Yeah.
they could use that till the end of time until
Mm.
technology changes and so on and so forth. And that person only gets paid for that 2 hours it took them to do it, kind of thing, right? And then they can use it
Right. They can.
forever.
Yeah, yeah. Same thing with music too, right? That you can have like
Yeah,
certain types of musical beats and everything, and then people could reuse those beats because technically you
yeah,
didn't own the beats, you owned the song. But
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
we did. Yeah, I know it's shady how some of that stuff works, but hopefully that's not the
Very.
case. But any case, let's get on with the episode. We open on the 7-Eleven. All right, we've seen the 7-Eleven before. Open 28 hours a day now. I think it was like that even before the previous episode, but 28 hours,
Hell,
and it's the trio and the B plot
C
wanting to
plot.
buy beer. So, anyways, they're wanting to buy beer, but they can't decide on it. So Leela has recommended that maybe they can make their own beer, which kind of excites Bender because they didn't realize that you could actually just make something like this, right? So they're going to brew their own beer. Now, back at the Planet Express HQ, the A plot consists of Dwight and Cubert. Unfortunately, they are suspended from school due to getting into a fight with a bully. Okay.
Brett
Now,
Blob.
Brett Blob, exactly, who is literally, I mean, Brett is such a funny name, but like it's such a common name, I should say. But Blob, because he is indeed like this gelatinous, like what is that called? Like the invasion of the gelatinous blob, or like the blob that,
from
or I
like
think it's
the
just called the blob actually.
1930s or something like
Yeah,
that.
well,
Like
they made a few
wasn't it
remakes
like a
since then.
radio? It was like a radio thing first,
Something
and
like
then it was
that,
like a
yeah.
movie.
Then a show and a movie and all this kind of stuff. But it's had some more recent creations since
Yeah,
then.
voiced by Seth Rogen in a movie. Yep.
Oh, what was he?
Monsters vs.
No.
Aliens.
That's Monsters vs.
movie.
Aliens. Yeah, that's based on that, right?
Yeah.
So, in any case, the Blob basically is Brett Blob or whatever. So he's this hideous alien creature-looking thing, but he bullies them. So Cubert and Dwight show a video recording of what had happened in their science class, and turns out that Brett had started a fight through their lunches, and I think they were making a black hole or something.
A miniature black hole in the school.
Yeah, because science has progressed that far in 1,000 years.
Which, dude, it's crazy even now. Like what kids learn compared to what we learned.
For sure.
Screw.
So you have Dwight and Cubert just pour salt on Brett Blob, and he melts because I guess that's just the kind of alien that he is, or is like his structure just kind of liquefies after that. So
the salt breaks down the membranes and such and stuff,
right,
like in slugs.
Exactly. So that's basically what they're going with. And that's fine. I think that's hilarious. So due to the suspension, right, and obviously Hermes and LaBarbera are not happy with Dwight, and Farnsworth isn't happy with Cubert. But due to the suspension, they have to hang out at the Planet Express place, right? Because that's where Professor lives and Cubert lives, but also Hermes has to work, and LaBarbera. We don't actually ever see LaBarbera work. I'm guessing that she does, which is probably why Dwight can't stay at his home or whatever, so he has to stay with them.
She's too busy with all her affairs with Barbados Slim.
With Barbados Slim. So.
But you and I forgot to mention, this is the first time we see Dwight, though. This is the first episode we see Dwight, or at least he has a speaking role.
I think this is the first time he has a speaking role, maybe. I feel like we've seen him before, because it's season 5 now. We should have seen.
Yeah. Well, according to the Infosphere, this is the first time we see him as the root of all evil, kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So
first time Dwight,
yeah.
And he's voiced. Who is he voiced by? Do you know?
Oh, some new guy who we haven't seen. Bumper Robertson is his name.
Robinson. Okay. Yeah. So he was good.
Yeah, he's had a career. Yeah.
Yep.
He plays Cyborg in a couple of the not in Teen Titans, no, just in a couple movies, like the DC movies, the animated movies.
Right, but he was like in the Teen Titans as Cyborg, but not the show Teen Titans. I gotcha. Yeah.
No.
But he played Cyborg in one or two of those things, right?
Yeah.
So he's been around for a while. So he plays Dwight, and then of course Cubert is played by what's her name again? I always can't.
Kathy Suchi.
Suchi or something, right?
Yeah.
So she's returning. We haven't seen her in a while. Oh, actually no, we saw her an episode or so ago, because she had a minor cameo when they're talking about the cloning with Jurassic Park. Very, very briefly, just to kind of remind us that the cloning existed, right? So anyway,
what did the kid say to Fry? Nice try, loser, or something like that.
In this episode.
In the Jurassic Park episode.
In the Jurassic Park? Oh, I don't remember.
She played the kid that said you're a crap loser or something like that to Fry when he lost the game.
You stink, loser. That guy. That's her as well, right? Yeah. So from the 1999, I thought you meant Cubert. I was like, I don't know what Cubert said to Fry. Yeah. Sorry.
True.
Gotcha.
No,
so
just the
anyway,
voice actors, yeah.
Yeah. So in any case, as they do, they have to hang out at the HQ and all this kind of stuff. So meanwhile, as they're doing so, the trio are at Planet Express as well, because they're supposed to be working, but they're trying to make some beer. So they've got like all the ingredients, all the stuff, and then inside they decided to make Bender the place where they actually are going to mix it all together. And we have Cubert and Dwight enter, and none of them really like Dwight's kind of indifferent to them, and the crew don't like Cubert based on previous experience. So I kind of like that continuity. But Dwight and Cubert basically are annoying everybody. They annoy the professor because he's making an invention that makes people sound like him if they speak through it,
like him,
which will come through afterwards. And then they screw up Hermes' organization and all of his office stuff, which pisses him off. So he has to kick them out of his office.
Did you ever do this at your parents' work?
Yep.
And when you had to be there, did you ever screw up anything?
I never went to my parents' work, Mitchell.
Neither of them.
Did you go to your parents' work?
Just once or twice or something like that with my brother and I. And Thankfully, my dad kind of prepared ahead of time or something like that. This was back in the day when you had to plug in N64s to TVs. He's like, yeah, just go in the office over there and you guys can play games for a
Oh,
couple hours
okay.
before your mom picks you up, kind of thing. And my
No,
brother were like, yay! And of course, we
yeah,
screwed up everything that we could because, two boys who were like 10 and 8 at the time. So of course we do whatever we can.
sure. I think maybe I stayed at my mom's office for like a little bit due to a doctor's appointment or something when I was a
Yeah,
kid, but
like once
never
or
never
twice.
went anywhere else. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was never really a thing. But no, my
You
my
never
family
went to
never
bring your
set up
daughter
a
to work day? No?
no, I never set up. My parents never set up like an N64 or anything like that for me. No, it was very
No,
boring.
no. He got a coworker to do that because he's like, yeah, I know my boys are going to be rambunctious.
Oh, well, it was nice of him to do that then. So,
Or
any
or it
case,
was a lie and he doesn't work and he just played games all day. I don't know. As far as I'm still concerned,
got
my
paid for
dad
that.
doesn't. I don't know what my dad does. Something with computers.
Sure. So, as they have kicked out Cubert and Dwight, they're going to do their own thing, and we cut back to the trio as they're still making their beer. Now that they've boiled the water, as they were doing beforehand, Bender is told that they're going to add yeast to it, and thus yeast is like also kind of like an organic thing. So
Yep.
for Bender, this has become kind of what would you call this? Not a parody, but kind of like an homage to like
Simile?
pregnant
No.
pregnancy. So you have Bender who's basically going to become like giving birth to these beers or whatever, and they kind of have like this so on kind of thing going on as the episode progresses, which is kind of funny. He's basically becoming robot pregnant with beer. Now, Leela gets a call while they're doing this. She gets a call from what sounds like the professor, but it turns out that it's actually Dwight and Cubert using said machine that the professor was working on to put them on a prank delivery, which sends, I guess they're delivering a pizza or something to, what was that planet called? Dogdo 8.
Something like that, yeah.
At the end of the universe, something like this. Dogdo 8 at the end of the universe is a very throwaway little joke. If you're a kid watching the episode, you'd find it funny, but it was like, whatever. So, any case, they go and they do this delivery thing, and it takes about a week. And when they get back, they realize that it was the kids who sent them on a prank delivery, all because Dogdo 8 apparently doesn't exist. Dogdo 7. So it is actually
the universe
a real
ends
planet.
after.
Yeah.
Dogdo
So there is actually a planet called Dogdo and like a system called Dogdo or whatever, but they only ends after 7 or something. And
Well, it
apparently
makes
they can go as
sense
fast as to reach the end of the universe. What's that?
It does make sense that they kind of name planets like that, right? Because there's Omicron 3 or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, it's just
Persei 8.
Dogdo. So Dogdo, it's led you to believe Dogdo is literally just a joke
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they're kids, right? They're 12. But then at the same time, Dogdo actually happens to be an actual system. So they're actually not. They're not making up the system's name. They don't think it's funny. Think it's funny that they're sending them on a prank delivery, right? So I think that's
just
that's
the
version of
whole
the joke.
number
Yeah.
system, because like I like
Sure.
how like there's a Dogdo 7, and
Yeah.
so like, oh yeah, there's got to be a Dogdo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
1, 2,
6
7,
kind of
right?
thing.
Yeah, in the
So
Dogdo system with the sun, right?
I think at some point
system.
you just start naming things numbers, like, okay, this is Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3 is the real one, kind of thing.
Ours would
If we
be
were gonna do that.
because
4.
our solar system is called Sol. I think it is the Sol system because Sun is.
Oh,
Sol.
right, yeah. I'm thinking
So I
Milky
think
Way
we'd be
galaxy,
Sol. We'd
yeah.
be Sol 3. Yeah,
Sol
yeah.
3, yeah.
We'd be Sol 3, which is cool. Actually, sounds kind of cool. But yes, it would be. Yeah, we have actual names for our planets, but for all other systems,
it just
they
makes
would
you
name.
think if we do meet aliens and stuff like that, and they go like, "Oh yeah, this is our Mercury, Mars," and we go
Right.
like, "Yeah, that's way too complicated because we already got like 8 planets, maybe 9 in ours. So you're gonna be Omicron 1, 2, and 3."
Right,
And they're
yeah.
like,
We're just gonna call
that
you
makes
this.
sense. We
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, yeah. Omicron Persei 8. That's where we're from. Yeah.
Right. That's right. In the Futurama universe. Yeah. So Earth kind of like has control over the naming of the planets.
Well, just
Or-
imagine
or-
that. Yeah.
Or because they have their own language, right? I mean, we're getting way into this, but
Oh yeah, I love this.
because they have their own language, the Omicrons probably call their planet the name that they have it, and then they just refer to it in English. They refer to it for Earth standard, right? So the rest of us can understand what they're talking
Kind
about.
of like in real life, how Germany is not called Germany. It's
Germany,
called
exactly.
Deutschland. Yeah.
Right. Deutschland and China is not called China, it's called Zhonghua. Like it's a different thing, right? Even Japan's not called it's not called Japan in Japanese, right? So yeah, there's a lot of funny things there. So it's
Yes.
basically like that, we'll say. Any
But
guess?
that's why I found that joke funny. I forgot that dog do was kind of like, doggy do, but like it just and then that one flew over my head.
Wow, you're growing up.
No,
You
just
didn't even
never
realize.
noticed it. Out of my 20 some years of watching this, it was just like I
Wow,
just thought that
really?
it was a number thing. Yeah, yeah.
Jeez. Okay, nice. So they return. They're obviously pissed off at Dwight and Cubert because they figured out they probably did this whole thing.
I do
So
like Leela here. She
me
crushes his
too.
Game Boy, which is like,
Yeah.
it's a future thing. We have the Switch right now and the Switch 2 coming out. You
Mhm.
think that the Game Boy thing would be a little more advanced rather than just the
Exactly.
two buttons and the up and down and left and right.
Yeah, but I love how she like takes it, just crushes it in one
Crushes it.
hand.
Oh yeah, Leela, I love
She's
her. I
tough,
love
man.
her.
So anyway, she kind of she does a stern talking to them, and I love her little line as well. We'll talk about it later maybe, but I do which well I'll just say it now. It's just kind of funny. She's like, if I were your parents, I'd give you a stern talking to, or I'd wait for your father when he comes back from the Senate. Like she goes into like this dreamy
She goes
line.
into a fantasy thing. Yeah, yeah. It's
So
like,
that's
is that
funny.
what she wants? Because she ends up with Fry, who is
We already know
neither of those
this.
things.
Yeah, we already know this. Leela at this point in her life wants perfection. That's what she wants. She wants perfection. And so everything in her head is all like this fantasy because she's trying to attain something that she can never have. And that's why she's always unhappy. And then when Fry makes her realize that down the line that, she's great the way she is and all this kind of stuff, that's when she starts to let go of that. That's the whole point of her character that way. But in any case, Dwight and Hubert are then kind of ridiculed by everybody, as well as like their fathers, or Hermes and the professor. They try to defend themselves, saying like, well, this was obviously like they're idiots, like they shouldn't do this. Plus, they're doing illegal stuff on company property. Last straw, the professor's like, okay, fine, we should do this. What we should have done a long time ago. And Hermes forces them to go out and get a job.
Get a job,
Get a job. So,
which is not so easy nowadays.
yeah, I know, right?
Back in
Especially
the
not even that, but imagine like 12-year-olds. Like what
Oh
kind
yeah.
of
Yeah.
job,
Well,
right?
how old were you when you got your first job? Like
I
you worked at the
I was
public
14.
library, right?
I was 14.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you worked at
that
the
was
public
my
library.
my second job actually. My first
Oh,
one I
good for you.
worked
Oh
at
yeah,
I worked at a
chocolate store,
chocolate
right?
shop. Yeah, I worked at
Oh,
a
good for
chocolate
you.
shop for 14. Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you remember how you got that first job? You went in with a
I
resume, right?
not exactly. No, mine was
Oh.
I had family that lived next door to the owners, and they
Oh,
needed
okay,
somebody,
okay.
but they
Nepotism.
only needed me for because of the winter holiday time, like the Christmas time, because that's like
Christmas
when
stuff.
everybody wants to buy stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was brought in for the very busy schedule, and then by January, I'll say mid-January, they let me go, and
Nice.
that was it. And then like a little after that, then that's when I started working at the library. I'm guessing
Library,
your
yeah.
first job then was that at Petland, correct? That you worked at
Yeah,
the pet store?
yeah,
And
yeah.
how
I
old
was
were you when you started that?
17.
Was that
And I don't
was it
remember.
17?
Yeah,
Did
I
you
think
not
I was
start working until
17.
you were 17?
Maybe it was like I just turned 17. Maybe it was like slightly
Oh,
before 16. I know it was it after grade
wow,
11?
okay.
I think it was after grade 11. So I might have been just turning
That was your
17.
first job, hey? Then
Yeah,
again, I
well, I was
recall
so busy
your
with
school. I
basketball and
was
all that
just gonna
stuff.
say,
Yeah,
yeah, your school life was very, very busy. So that's true.
yeah.
That's fair. So, any case, mine wasn't
And
as busy, so I was forced to get a job too. But it was okay. I enjoyed my
well, I'm
job
just
for the
asking,
most.
do you remember like what did you do to get the job? Obviously, you got lucky there, but like with the library one, did you like what I did
Library
with
one,
Phelan?
I
Well,
absolutely
here's
did
my
have to bring in a
resume. I got
resume.
nothing.
Yeah.
I'm this
But you
years
recall,
old.
I mean,
Yeah.
just to out him a little bit as well. So Andrew, who we've had on the podcast, he put in a good word because he was also working at the library at the time.
Yeah.
So
Nepotism.
yeah, so I've met a lot of people. Mind you, I got a lot of people jobs there
Have you
too, or at
ever
least I
got a
put their
job that you
I put their
didn't
name
know
in.
someone? Nepo
Um,
baby.
I did. I got many
Yeah, I know
jobs.
you
And
have.
that's
I
the
know
thing.
you
I've
have.
had. Okay, let me ask you this then. Out of throughout your life, and then we'll move on with the rest of the episode. How many jobs have you had in your life? Like
Well,
like part-time,
let's
full-time,
see.
whatever. Just in general, like around 10,
Yeah,
15.
around 10. I'm
Yeah,
gonna count that each contract for when I was doing animation counted, even if it was at the same company, because it's technically a different
okay,
job, but it's the same company.
sure. But
So
different contracts,
around
different
10,
work, different
10-ish.
side, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great. I've had 24. So
Nice.
yeah, 24 jobs, both part-time and full-time. And it's like you get to know a lot of people, but you also get to understand like what kind of work you actually do like doing and what you can tolerate for a long period of time.
Yeah.
I had jobs I only had for like it was legitimate jobs because I got paid and contract and everything. It was only 2 weeks long. That's all they needed me
Nice.
for. But I'm so happy they were only 2 weeks because I wanted to kill myself. Like that's how bad it is. That's how bad those jobs were.
I
But
think that people should experience jobs like those just so that way they
they
know,
absolutely
like,
should.
yeah.
Yeah. And
And
I'm not even talking
not that I
retail.
have.
Like
Yeah,
retail
not that I have.
sucks.
Like yeah, I
yeah.
worked at I've had 2-3 jobs in retail, but I think I kind of in my head here it's about maybe 12ish kind of
Yeah.
thing for including other
Every
works and stuff like
kid.
that. But yeah.
Yeah, every kid. I wouldn't go so low as 12. 12 is too young. I would say 14, 15
Yeah.
to start. Every kid, every teenager around that time up until they're 17, 18 years old or older, it doesn't matter. But about that time, they should all be doing something with retail or customer service. They should understand what it means to serve people because that is a very, very difficult time to deal with real
Yes.
asshole people.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's hard.
and people
And when you
today
do
are
it,
even
it's
more entitled than ever, kind of thing. Like
yes.
when you and I had, we I think if we were to have 100 customers, maybe 1 to 3 of them would have been
Could be
slightly
assholes.
dickish, and
Yeah,
maybe one
yeah,
of those 3 would have been really bad. Like out of 100, and that was
that's
like
not bad. Yeah.
it's not bad, right?
Most of the
I
time,
feel like
people are pretty good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like most people nowadays expect above and beyond from these people who are making minimum wage, which is,
Yeah.
my opinion, more than it needs to be for a minimum wage job. But I will bring this back to the episode. My first job, I will say, it was kind of like a substitute for our buddy Andrew, who I believe his first job was also a paper route. He had a paper route, and
Right.
I would
Okay.
help
Yeah. So that
substitute
counts
in
as
every
well.
so
Yeah.
often.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Well,
I maybe helped
we
him
also know
maybe a
Andrew's
total
had
of
a
10
lot of
times.
jobs. So
Yeah,
say again. Sorry.
I maybe helped him about a total of 10 times where I had to do
Gotcha.
all the sorting and stuff like that. And it was fun. And I got to say, it was definitely, like, okay, Mitchell, okay, mom and dad, you're X years old. I was probably like maybe 12 to 14 during this
Same,
period.
same age as these guys, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're going to do a paper route. Can I help Andrew out? Him and his family are going on vacation to Quebec or something like that.
Sure.
And you need to do this for the 2 weeks they're gone. Okay, yeah, I can do that. And you know what? It definitely it gives you a type of responsibility that you don't have before. Yes, mom and dad definitely helped me out when I was like, crap, I'm stuck. What do I do here? I think I've screwed up the order or something like that. Well, here you go. We'll walk with you, kind of thing, while you do this.
Sure.
We aren't going to talk to you.
Yeah.
So get a job.
So yeah, and I'm glad you bring it back to the paper route thing because yes, indeed, as the kids, they're only kids, so they can only do so much. But it turns out that they're going to start a rival, as they put it, a rival delivery company, and they bring out their parents, like their fathers, right, Hermes and the professor, outside to like their great unveiling, and they have like a little box with a sign on it that says "Awesome Express" in like bright red and yellow, very very cool, and they're so proud.
Are you proud of us, Dad? Are you proud of us?
I love Hermes' line, "Welcome to the world of business," and he and the professor start kicking in their side. I love this like animosity towards it because obviously their company doesn't do very well for one reason or another, but their kids start like a little business. At first they don't think like it's a paper route because they automatically take offense
awesome
to
Express,
it,
which is
to say show Awesome
better.
Express or whatever. But it turns out that the actual company is going to be just for paper, so they're going to deliver, was it like the Daily Nova or something?
Supernova.
Daily Supernova. So the Daily Supernova. So it's a paper route. So
in the future here, like today, no one has paper routes.
So
that's just so funny to me because like I'll still get flyers every so often, like maybe once or
but it's not kids
a
delivering
few times.
them.
No, and it literally just goes to our mailboxes, which is all like they changed it like 10 years ago. It's now like a bunch of PO boxes and like
Something
kind of
like
the
that,
central point of like this the 20 houses that they have, and it's a pain in the butt to do.
In certain neighborhoods they just have like the mailboxes in like one corner, and everybody in that area has to go over to it for whatever reason.
Yeah,
but
they streamlined the postal service here in Canada because it used to go to each house individually, kind of thing. Now it's just
talk to people and stuff like that. But now
it's just a box and they just go deliver.
Yeah, not for every neighborhood. Yeah.
I think it's like 40 people or something like that. So like it's kind of. I like that idea as an efficiency, but also it's impersonal now. So it's like the government doesn't give a crap about you anymore. So it's just here you go. This is good enough, which is how I view the government. They just do just enough
to get by.
Enough.
That's basically what it is. Yeah. So with that, the kids tell them like, no, it's just a paper route, all this kind of stuff. So at that point, that's when Hermes and the professor are like, okay, you're not actually a threat to us. So they're very happy for them, but at the same time, they're like also treating them like children, which Dwight and Cubert are very annoyed by. All they want to have is respect. It's that age for it. So the kids are deciding, okay, we're gonna get this paper route going, and they have to choose like do it themselves and do everything themselves. So they decide to get a I do like this actually from a magazine. They're able to get like this like a buildable spacecraft for the two of them. It's basically like a bike that you could get like back in like the 60s, the 50s or whatever. Send a quarter and you get something delivered by the mail.
Did we have that growing up? I don't think we did.
We didn't. No. This is like
at the very tail end.
This is like a long time ago. Yeah. But it was like I don't want to say crappy stuff. It was like toy stuff, right? Not a spacecraft, not a
like
bicycle.
X-ray specs.
Exactly.
Like everlasting gum.
Something like this,
balls.
right? One of those things you could find at the back of a magazine. Put money into an envelope and send the envelope off, and they'd send it to you in like 2 to 3 weeks or whatever. It was one of those things, but it's an actual working spacecraft that happens to work and function kind of like a bicycle for the two of them, like a tandem bike. So they get this
thing. But a spacecraft.
I do like this actually. They were ahead of their time for this joke. Is like when they put the the quarter, so they're still using change, but they put the quarter into the envelope.
Even more funny.
Yeah, and they put it into that tube, and they send the tube, right? Because it's the future, right? They put the tube, and it sends it off. It's like, it says to wait for 4 to 6 seconds for delivery. It's like more like 7.
Like 7. Yeah, and then it shoots out and hits Cubert in the face.
That's so true though. It's like, what's taking so long for this thing to arrive in my inbox or whatever the email?
We were impatient then. We're more impatient now. Jesus Christ.
So I thought that was a pretty good. That's a pretty good joke. Like it really speaks a lot for that. So, in any case, this thing flies out, hits Cubert in the face. And I thought that was good. All kids should get that when they're too impatient for their items.
Just a slight smack, nothing too dangerous, like nothing that'll take out an eye or puncture a nose or something like that, or give a bloody lip. Just a slight slap,
something like that, just to like wake you up and like realize you can be a little bit more patient, right? Yeah.
Think about what you just said. Think about your what's the word that people use to say? Your privilege or something like that. Just don't take things for granted.
Check your privilege. Yeah.
God, I hate check that your line. Privilege.
So
it's a valid thing. It's a valid thing, but also I hate it because who decides who has what privilege?
It's used way too liberally now.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, meanwhile, Bender and the trio and the B plot, right? They are still making their little beer. And Bender is expanding due to the fact that they're fermenting all this beer and all this kind of stuff,
gas
right?
And stuff like that, yeah.
And he's kind of treating it like a baby, and I kind of he's sitting on the sofa, they're all this kind of stuff, and then
I'm
he's like,
swelling up so big now.
He's like, I'm so fat, I'm hideous. Like, no, you have a glow. So you have Leland Fry come in, and they're talking about fermenting, and then they're talking. I really like this. I thought this was really clever. It's like, okay, what do you think it's going to be? He's like, well, if it's an ale, I'm going to call it like Bender Brew or something like this, and if it's a lager, it's going to be whatever that is, right? And I like the word, and I just like Fry because I hope it's a lager because then I can take it to a ball game. Like it's kind of like the genders of a kid or something. And I'm thinking ale and lager. Oh, that's pretty clever actually. I like that. So I thought that was really good. And he's talking about fermenting as if it's like the kicking of the baby or something, and they're feeling it in his body. It's very, very funny. So Dwight and Cubert, all right, I've got their first set of papers and everything, and they're delivering it, and we get this really fun little what do you want to call this? It's a montage, right? So their parents send them off and say good luck to them, all this kind of stuff, and they do this montage of them.
Well, before that though,
yeah,
because they're putting their little ship together like an IKEA thing, which comes later on a different.
Oh right,
well.
yeah.
And so they're putting it together.
Sticker or whatever.
And, there's a crack in the hull here. Wouldn't that not be good? Decompression. It's just put a sticker on it. So they put like a Mum's Robot oil sticker on it, and then right after that, Professor and them come out and kind of like good job, guys. We're so proud of you.
Have a good thing. Be home by dinner. Yeah, all this kind of stuff.
And then
right?
Saul, who we see Saul, he has so many jobs. He's kind of like the what the word I'm looking for is
jack of all trades.
Thank you, jack of all trades. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so he's like, there he goes. There's the.
It's not going to deliver themselves.
Themselves unless it's a Sunday, which does that one. Yeah. So it's a very interesting. It's like, why wouldn't you put a little more effort inside to have the paper deliver itself like the Sunday one every time, or is that just a special thing where?
I think it's because the Sunday is back in the day, right? The Sundays were considered much bigger. They're much bigger ones, right? You had the comics, you had other things going on. So I think it just kind of shown that the evolution of the paper at this point in time, the evolution of the paper, if people are still reading them, I guess, they've just developed enough that they can now walk. They have so much in them now, they also have legs, something like that. I think that's what the joke is. But
they want to bring up that Sal gave them only like a small stack, right?
50 papers,
50 papers, but they both are carrying it like it's really heavy kind of thing.
Sure.
And then they go off into space. after they start pedaling, because it's just beforehand it looks just like a spaceship, and there's like how they gonna power it? Then you hear that squeak 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 squeak, and then they go up like, oh, that's funny, because kids should not be driving spaceships at that age.
What is that kind of energy called? It's like kinetic kinetic energy or something?
Bicyclic. That's what I call
it. Basically bicycle energy, like as if you're pedaling it, right? Yeah. So it's like they're creating power by being the power, right? The kids are, and I think that's pretty clever, right? Just like a bicycle would. And then the engine turns on and they're able to hover, and it actually goes quite quickly. Like they're able to fly out. But in any case, they do this montage. They get out into space. All right, they're wearing like helmets and everything. Like it kind of follows physics, but not really.
Yeah, it's Futurama physics. So
so they get out to space and they go to this neighborhood. Mind you, this neighborhood also doesn't follow physics. So basically, you get to this like 1950s, 60s, American, suburban neighborhood.
White picket fence.
All these white picket fences. All these houses and dogs and all this stuff, and they're all like independent asteroids.
Yeah.
But they all look the same. It's like a cookie cutter neighborhood, and they all look the same. They all have these like little things on there, and they're just throwing with because of inertia, they're just able to throw these newspapers through space, hit the doors and other things so that people can get their newspapers. And the montage shows that they're doing very well. They get like
there's a Star Wars
papers. There is the dog is chasing them, and the worm from episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, comes out and eats the dog, and which is kind of sad, but
that's something that's
after just watching Jurassic Park, we get to see yet another dog die. But we don't know this.
This one was chasing Cubert and Dwight, so we don't like that one. Yeah, it's a bad dog.
So they have the montage of this, and they have all of our
paper stack grows, and they get more and more deliveries every day.
Exactly. So they're probably doing this for about I think they say later in the episode they've been doing it for about a week or maybe 2 weeks or something.
A while, yeah.
Yeah, and they even get like a medal for being good delivery boys or something, good newspaper delivery boys or something. And the one last thing before the montage ends is that we also find out that this is where the Blobs live. Their bully, Brett, and his parents or whatever, they live in this little neighborhood.
Horrible Gelatinous is the father's name. Horrible Gelatinous Blob.
Oh, perfect, because that's exactly
Blob.
HG Blob. So we don't see him yet, but Brett Blob, for whatever reason, is sitting on his porch or whatever, and so he chucks a little of his slime at Dwight and Cubert's bike
because he's still melted.
Right, and he's angry, and so they're like, So Dwight takes one of the papers and chucks it and breaks their window. All right, and they laugh and they fly away or whatever. So anyway, this ends. And they return with the wagon. They return to the HQ and everything. And the professor and Hermes are having like a meeting with all their, with some of their employees, saying like, we're going to be like really cutting salaries because we're losing a lot of business recently, as they always are. So they're declaring them as like slaves. But in any case, the professor and Hermes' kids show up, and they're like, hey,
a wheelbarrow with
they're wheeling in this wheelbarrow with like a tarp over it or a blanket over it. You don't know what's there really. But they're like, oh, so do you guys like need coin rollers? Do you need help with counting your change? Like all this stuff.
Coin rollers.
Actually, I know.
Honestly, Futurama doesn't get dated too badly, but this episode has mail in it. It has coins, of all things.
It's just like the magazine get a delivery.
The magazine, just like a newspaper of all things.
It's very dated. Yeah,
it's I would never say that about much of the Futurama episodes. Like, it's just kind of like future past tech would be the best way to say it. Like Game Boys and stuff like that. Retro futuristic. But my God, this one is like even like it's 2025 now, and
only 25 years ago.
Only
25 years ago, and we're hitting up this.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
it's just so hilarious. Like I remember walking with my mom the other week, and we used to pass by the station that would have the newspaper stands. Nope, they haven't been there for like a decade or so now.
Oh yeah, they removed them. Yeah, because no one's gonna buy them anymore, use them anymore, right? So, any case, the Hermes and the professor like just kind of make fun of them with like taunting them with all this stuff, and so Cubert and Dwight are like, well, actually, and they pull down the blanket, and it turns out it's all this money,
pile of cash,
tons of money, and they are like, we're finally making more than you. Yeah, physical cash as well. We're making more than you, because that's the only way you can really show. If it was just like a card on it, they'd be like, what's that? It's like, oh, this is our money. This is how much we made. It wouldn't really have the same effect, right? So it's all this cash, and Professor and Hermes are dumbfounded. Like they completely like, oh my God, like how have they done this? So they get a little defensive again, and Hermes literally says like, well, listen, even if you're making all this money, you don't have company. You don't have a building. You don't have a ship. You don't have Dr. Zoidberg.
Yeah, you don't have one of these. And the camera pans over to Zoidberg. Hello.
Hello. And he's just sitting there. I love Zoidberg just has a couple of these little things once in a while, you know. So, in any case, they cut back to Dwight and Cubert, and they're sitting with their wheelbarrow of money, and they're like,
a little sad.
Yeah, why can't they be proud of us? Why do we have to, like, what can we do to do any of this stuff? And the only
Dwight
thing they
says,
can think of is, for Dwight, he figures out, he's like, well, listen, if we're going to have to make them proud, we're going to have to crush them. We're going to have to take everything. So he has the two of them, because they're also very smart, right? They're very smart kids, and they have this little portfolio, or not portfolio, document folder or whatever it says. Like, it says Dwight Lightning on it. He's like, this is our strategy for this, I think is what they call it or whatever. So they're going to enforce.
That's a cool name, but next time I want to name it.
Yeah. So they're going to enforce Dwight Lightning, strategy Dwight Lightning, to destroy their parents, basically, to destroy their parents' lives or something. So while watching TV, Professor and Hermes are, trying to talk to the crew and all this kind of stuff. And they themselves, the crew, are sitting there and they're like, okay, we're, still, like, Bender's still making the beer and everything. And Hermes says, like, he's knitting. It's like, now we're going to actually have to cut your funds. Like, you are going to be cutting your salaries, like, a lot. But Leela and Fry announce that actually Cubert and Dwight have made them a better offer. They can actually be newspaper delivery people. They don't have to worry about these people anymore. So actually they don't work for them anymore. Now, after that, the kids return and they also say, like, listen, turns out we can control all this kind of stuff because Cubert technically inherited the professor's business and his ship.
Because the professor technically died or something like that a few years ago.
Well,
like, you take a nap one time.
He was declared dead or something and never corrected it as a tax dodge or something. He didn't have to pay taxes anymore. So he never fixed the problem, right? So he fell asleep in the park. Somebody declared him dead, and he just never corrected it because he didn't have to pay taxes anymore. But due to that, the technicality makes Cubert, as his son/clone, able to inherit all of his information. So he gets his building, he gets his company stuff, he gets his employees, he gets his ship. Okay, so Hermes asks if they're hiring or whatever after
you rotten kids.
But it turns out they're not.
You rotten kids!
Despite their family, despite their fathers, they're not going to hire them. So they kick him out. And they spend some time. They're going to I think actually these they give them these uniforms. These are their Planet Express uniforms. This is the first time we've seen them, because we see them in the future too, don't we? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was a Comedy Central run, wasn't it?
In the Comedy Central run, I'm pretty sure these are the uniforms.
That was yesteryear's professor's idea.
Right.
I don't know. I think they're definitely the same color scheme, but I don't think it's the same ones. And you know what? They could have repurposed them too in the future. I'm wondering because they literally could have had like a model sheet of them. Like here's their stuff kind of thing. Right. And then they scrapped it because like, well, we're never going to use these again.
But
and then they brought
do. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I was like, oh, these look very much. These look very much like that. Yeah, they look very much like the Comedy Central.
Good job. But they didn't have the hats, as far as I remember.
No, they had hats. They had hats as well.
This episode, yes, but I don't remember that in the
future. I'm pretty sure they have hats. They have yellow hats. Yeah, I'm almost
positive. We'll have to pull that up when we see that episode, because that
Agreed.
Was the one with Bender going to hunt the also robot fox, right?
That is one of them. Yeah, I think that they show up a few times. There's that one, and then because that's when he gets that one, because that's when they're getting the new uniforms. I think there's another one or something before that, something like this. But yeah, they're throughout the Comedy Central run. Oh, I think there's another one where they see Gunther again on the planet of the primates or whatever. I think they're also wearing uniforms, because Amy's wearing a marmoset outfit, but then the other two are wearing some other kind of uniform. Doesn't matter. But point is they're wearing these things, but I'm pretty sure it's the uniform. So it's kind of funny that they've reused it. So anyways, they get uniforms.
Possibly.
They repaint the Planet Express ship from its electric mucus to like a fire red, and they make the new logo Awesome Express. So they're now Awesome Express and everything.
And I do love the 12-year-old too here, where Cubert's like, hey, can we put this flame on it? We'll make it go faster. What's your scientific proof for that? I'm 12. It's like, okay, yeah. Well, you know what? You ask any kid underneath 5 who loves cars, why are the red ones better? Red makes it go faster.
Red is fast. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all this is happening, and so they've become the newspaper delivery company now. Now, Hermes and the professor are obviously very sad. They leave the building. I guess the professor's going to go live with Hermes now because we see them at his house. But in any case, as they're preparing and doing some stuff, I think this is when Bender is knitting. But this is when Bender goes into quote unquote labor. And so Leela and Fry get a bunch of these bottles and drain Bender of the new beer that they've just made here. And I think it's wrote it down here. It's an ale. Okay, so you can't bring it to a ball game, unfortunately, but it's an ale, and it's 5 gallons, 6 ounces. So quite a bit of beer. Has a giant cooler to which he's then hugging like a child. And the kids return because they've just gone to a delivery, and they're like, "What are you guys doing in here? Like, you're supposed to be working." Fry coincidentally points out, like, "Oh, hey, it's only been an hour. How did you guys deliver like 1,000,000 papers?" And Cubert and Dwight are kind of shifty, and they're like, "Well, because we're awesome. This is Awesome Express, whatever." However, the phone rings. Leela picks up. Turns out the people are not getting their papers. And a bunch of phones are ringing. Turns out a lot of people are not getting their papers.
Jackass customers, as we've discussed before, but
they have reason this time. They're like, "Hey, listen, because it's been a long time. They have not been getting their papers." And I guess it's been about a week or maybe a bit longer. So back at Hermes and LaBarbara's place, because that's where the professor is as well, the three of them, including LaBarbara, they're all having dinner. And Hermes and the professor are being and acting very like sad and pathetic because their kids are better than them at the age of 12. And LaBarbara like chastises them for being so like what are you guys so sad about? Like, they're better than you. That's a good thing. You did your jobs. But they say like, yeah, we just wanted a little bit longer. We could have been a bit better, we could have been more their fathers. They don't need us anymore. They're so talented.
They're so stinking talented.
They just have this little moment. But then the door busts open, and here we have Cubert and Dwight running in crying, jumping onto their parents' laps and being like, "We're sorry, we screwed up. We need help. Like, we took on too much work, and now we've dumped most of the papers on some crater in the moon, and we just don't know how to deal with it."
I do
and the
love
professor and Hermes laugh.
They start laughing at each other, then they realize, they're my children.
Yeah, like, yes,
we're
better than them still, but at the same time, like, oh. So, in any case, they say like, "What are we gonna do?" It's like, "Don't worry. We're going to do some father and son weaseling out of this." So they take the ship. Somehow the ship is green again, I think.
Oh, yeah. Is that a continuity error? They generally don't have that. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
They don't have that. You know what it is?
Green. Yeah.
You know what it is? I don't think we saw this before. There's a 3D rig there. I think beforehand it was just a stationary 2D drawing. So, and mind you, it's just a recoloring, so it's not that hard. It's not that hard to do. Sure. But yeah, that's two things that you caught there that I never noticed before. Very good.
I just realized like it's green again, but they don't have a scene of them like, well, you don't really need a scene of it, but it seems like it's just immediately after. They could have gone back to the professor's, place, back to Planet Express. They could have washed it all off and then taken off with it. Right. But
so I just scrubbed through the show here, and from what it looks like to me, I could be wrong here, but when they had the red Awesome Express, that I think that's just a 2D drawing.
So they didn't paint or color the 3D rig of the ship in space. Right. There you go. That's probably why. So anyway,
they forgot noticed? Or it would have cost too much because this was like 2002 at the time. And if I am correct here, there's certain different teams that they have for animation stuff. Like there's a storyboard team, the animatic team, and the animation team and background and stuff like that. And this happened on one of the projects I was working on. There was a 3D dragon in that one because it was in the air and stuff like that. It's a lot hard, really annoying to do if you had to do it, and time costly if you had to do it in 2D. So they hired a 3D artist for like these like 12 scenes it was in. He was there for like 3 months because that's a lot of work for him to do. Sure. So they probably only had the one artist doing it at the time, or sparingly part-time. So they never really thought about it. And you know what? We didn't notice until you brought it up right now. So hey.
I just realized myself, like literally talking to you as I'm listening, I'm thinking about it in my head because I'm not watching the episode. I'm just thinking about it as I go through my notes and everything. And I'm like, oh yeah, the ship is green again. So anyways, they're back in this little neighborhood area, and with the asteroids and everything, you're right, that kind of cookie cutter suburban neighborhood. And they've collected the papers with, I don't know why, Futurama, and this happens in a few episodes. I can't name them all right now, but there's a few instances where they use a giraffe as like like the
A
thing that
punchline.
they hunt. Yeah, but it's just like it's like a multiple thing. Like they have like Amy's like, oh, I used to hunt giraffes in, during my semester or
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah.
she's like,
A
she's
giraffe
really good with a
spear or something
spear,
like that. Yeah.
right? So like I used to hunt giraffes. It's like, oh, good thing I had this net for collecting and capturing giraffes. Like I don't know why they use giraffes so much. I think it's just like
Giraffes are actually scary, man.
but it's really just because
I
it's a
saw a video
weird.
recently of it defending against a lion, and it kicked the hell of it, and unfortunately it killed
Yeah,
its baby. It was defending just because of like how long their limbs
sure, sure,
are.
sure.
They can
Yeah,
get some
but
force.
yeah,
But
giraffes are super dangerous. Like all those wild animals are super dangerous. But it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
why a giraffe?
Why
Any
giraffe?
case, it's a giant net. Maybe that's why, because giraffes are also
they're
very
harmless.
big.
They
Maybe.
look harmless and they're cute and stuff like
Yeah.
that, right? Toys R Us, it was the
In the
model for it.
However, as we know, in the future of the Futurama universe, like in the far future, giraffes do take
And
over
a
for a period of
half.
time, right? 25, 25,
Humankind
25 or
is
something.
and a
No,
half and
sorry,
a half.
25 and a half, right? So in any case,
Humankind was enslaved by giraffes.
enslaved by giraffes.
I do love that episode. It's a good
It's a
episode.
good episode. That's the late Philip J. Fry. That is a good episode. So, in any case, the professor has this net for capturing giraffes, and so they take the papers, they bring them into the ship, they load them into this little cannon that I guess is not the main laser cannon that they have on the top of the ship, but it's another one that's on the bottom. So they're able to like take it out. It's used for plot devices or whatever, and they're able to just basically put the ship on this autopilot thing that goes to every door, and they just shoot the papers and. Some of them are okay, some of them don't. Some of them dent cars, break other doors, and other things. There's this one character we never see again. I'm pretty sure it's a
I was
character
going to
from
ask you
another
about this.
show.
It's actually from a book.
It's a book, right?
Yeah,
Or a vlog guy,
it's
right? Or whatever that person
it's
is. Yeah.
called The Little Prince or something like that. And he lives is
Right.
just a little boy who lives on an asteroid. I don't know the story, but apparently it was a huge one, probably in the 80s, 90s or something like that.
Sure.
I think before your and my time.
Our time.
And it was one of like the most sold books across the world or something. It had like 1,000 languages kind of thing. So
Okay. Makes sense
yeah.
that he would speak French then in that case, because that's a dead language in the Futurama episode. But anyway, he said, yeah, he's
Damn,
saying on a little
gibberish.
asteroid. He also gets his own paper, like the boys give it to him earlier in the episode. But then this one is like it's a gun, so it shoots it at him, and he flies off the asteroid. He's like, oh, and we never see him again, so he's gone. But I do like that. In any case, they finish up and they're almost done all the paper, and they're like, yes, we've done it. We've delivered all the papers. A little late, but we've delivered them. And the
All
last
but
house
one.
they have to do is the Blob house. So Cubert and Dwight are like, no, we can't go there because we may have accidentally broken their window. And the professor and Hermes are like, listen, when you break a window, what are we supposed to do? Pay for it? No.
Oh, no heavens,
Apologize.
no.
With cheap words. Yeah. So
I do love that coming from Hermes too, with nice
because it makes sense.
cheap
Makes
words.
perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. So they get out of the ship. They land on the little asteroid area or whatever. They go up to the house. They ring the bell. Brett answers the door and he's like a jerk, right? And they're like, listen, we need to talk with your dad. Can we go and like apologize for these ones, whatever? So it turns out Brett's dad, who they expect is going to be, even though he's called the horrible gelatinous blob, even though he's like this alien scary creature, they're expecting him to be a decent guy, whatever, which is kind of true, but he comes out and he screams at them, he yells at them, all this kind of stuff. And like, they're like, listen, we just want to apologize for, breaking your window. He's like, you can kiss my ass, you can do all this stuff. And the parents, all the three parents get into a fight with each other, right? The blob is fighting Hermes and the professor. The blob wins and he ends up sending them to the hospital. And this is another what is this? Another call, not a callback, but like we end up back at the Taco Bellevue hospital. Right. We don't see the Chihuahua yet. He's coming. It must be the Comedy Central run. But in any case, we get to the Taco Bellevue hospital. Professor and Hermes are in these full-on body casts. They're completely broken, and their kids are there saying, like, listen, we're so happy that you stood up for us and all this stuff. It looked like you were going to do something good and win and all this stuff. But in any case, they're like, oh, we just feel we're happy that we could be there for you kids and all this stuff. They have a nice little moment. The hospital door gets a knock, and enters the blobs, right? Brett and
God, he's back.
So the professor and Hermes are obviously terrified, but turns out HG Blob is actually he's there with flowers and an olive branch. He says like, no, listen, I'm so sorry. And they have a really good message for this episode. I want to make this very clear. This is actually a really nice thing. He says real men I want to show my son, my boy, that real men don't solve their problems with violence. They solve them with words. So I'm here to apologize and, hope that we could put this behind us. To which, Hermes and the professor aren't really going to say otherwise. But of course, they all agree. They're like, you're right. We should be on good terms. And this is not the way that men are supposed to act. Now, after this, we have one more visitor, which is Bender, carrying his child beer. And he says, I heard you guys were in a fight, so I brought you some beer to cheer you up. And they all end up having some beer together, celebrating a day out with their sons, while Brett, who doesn't really care about making amends with these kids with Cubert and Dwight, ends up eating them just like his dad ate their parents. And that's basically where the episode ends.
It ends. Well, I do like it because you're trying to be like, they go with words and everything. But then once the beer's in their head, the dads don't really pay attention to the kids, and the kids just do their own stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an ironic message at the same time.
Sure, but I think the point is real men are supposed to get along and talk things out. I think that's the main thing, and it shows that they're having a beer together, so it means that they're on good terms now. That's usually what that means. But it is funny that kids will be kids. They'll always bully each other, at least. Usually they'll always bully each other, always get into fights with each other, and then they get over it, right? That's kind of the key thing. But root of all evil. So overall, what do you think of this episode?
When you and I talked about this last week, like, what's it called again? What happens? It's kind of very forgettable.
It is a bit
because it's
forgettable. Yeah.
I don't know. It's not terrible written at all. It's not amazingly written. It's just okay written, and the jokes are.
Yeah. The physics are a little off, just like Godfellas. It's a little weird, but other than that, it's throw that away because it's a comedy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd say this is below mid in terms of quality. It's not terrible by any means. It's just 6.5. It's water. Yeah. It's not juice. It's water, kind of thing, right? It's
like sparkling water though. Like it's not bad by any means. Like you'd want to eat it. You'd want to drink it again, right? It's like
not if I could choose anything else.
It's a little exactly.
I'd still take it over the current stuff.
Absolutely. Like this is probably I would still say it's pretty mid, 6.5 to a 7, if not probably like a solid, maybe another solid 7.
I'd give it a 6.
Yeah, that's why I say 6.5.
I think you and I consistently were saying like 5.5, 6 for the Hulu stuff, and I think we were being quite generous just because it was new stuff and we hadn't watched everything over again.
Like if we had The Temp, for example, The Temp, you and I agreed was probably the best episode of the Hulu run so far. I think we put that as like a 7. Maybe a 7.5, right? Yeah. I would say The Temp is better than this episode. I would.
Agreed.
I think it's funnier and I think it has a better storyline. But this one I think is also written. It is also written very well. Like I do like the messaging. I do like the whole storyline in it. So I think it is a good episode. I wouldn't put it so low as a 6. I'd probably say 6.5 or a 7. But in any case, your favorite
6.5, 6.5 for me. But okay. You are right. It is better than all of that stuff, which I still think we gave it probably an average of about 5.5.
Yeah. Well, when we get to the Hulu run, though, I mean, we're just finishing up the Fox run right now. But when we get to the Hulu run as like our actual proper channel podcast thing, then we might have a little bit more to say because it's been a long time for us to discuss.
Yeah,
I know we have to watch them
again. Have you rewatched any of it? I don't think I've watched either of the seasons. I maybe watched each episode maybe twice, like when it first came out, and then like a week later when we did the review.
Sure, no,
but that's probably all I did
right now. It sucks. I really have no desire to. But in any case, your favorite
MVP?
joke scene MVP. Yep.
Oh, jeez. I don't even know. I'll just say the professor, just because I think one of my favorite jokes of his, not my favorite joke, but one of mine of his, is when him and Hermes are kind of like down upon themselves and eating food made by La Barbara, and he's like, could a poor old man please have another cup of tequila slama and another slice of the, I can't remember what he said, but like another high end dish like pauvagnon.
Like, can I have one too, wife? Yeah.
I like that one.
I do like La Barbara.
There's a lot of little jokes. Like there's not a big main joke in my mind in this one. Sure. I also do like when right after Dwight and Cubert took the company from them, they're walking away outside, and then Zoidberg pops out of the trash and goes, "There, but for the grace of God." And he's like, "Ooh!"
And then starts eating garbage again.
Yeah. So
I also like the professor. Like, did you know I used to own that building, or I used to own that ship or something? Yeah.
I also do like when like right before the crew switched over to Awesome Express. He's like, well, I can see that Fry can't hold it any longer, so I'll just let him blurt it out. We don't work for you anymore.
Yeah.
What?
He has no tact, so he just yells out what it is. Yeah, that's true. I do like that.
There's a couple visual things I saw that kind of bugged me, but like it makes sense. So right when Bender was about to give Beer birth or whatever, he's like, Leela, quick, get in here. And she comes in. There's maybe like 6 drawings of her like coming in the room, and then she kind of like holds like a stance, and that's all she holds for maybe about 3 seconds, which is not something that is required for that kind of thing, because like it's an intense thing where she's going, oh god, oh okay, let's do that kind of thing. But she just holds the pose, and I'm like, oh, I'd get in trouble if I did that, and I know I'd have to do another 6 drawings or whatever, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're like kind of annoyed. You're like, oh, that guy got away with that.
A little bit.
So,
But also,
sure.
it's more so like, why couldn't that happen to me where I got away with a lot of stuff, and I probably did, but just like, no.
Sure. Yeah. I hear you. I was trying to think of an MVP myself, because like I do like, you know what? I'm gonna go Cubert. I'm gonna go Cubert for this one. Yeah. And the reason for it is because I think Cubert has some of the best lines of the two. Like he and Dwight are both very funny in it. But Cubert he's like, oh, if my old friends, stretch pants, no pants, an idiot.
That one's pretty good, yeah.
So I kind of like his little line. I also like, because they're kind of a duo. Like I can almost put Cubert and Dwight, but I can't really do that. So I'm choosing Cubert because I think he has,
you know, like.
Yeah, he kind of I think he has more lines than Dwight does, but I think it's pretty good. I also do like the line when he says that line I just mentioned, and then Bender like leans over and he's like, we're making beer, I'm the brewery. So that was pretty good. There's like a lot of little funny jokes.
I think I found my favorite one. So
go for it.
It's when the kids are kind of wandering around and just, you know, being annoying in the work life, and so they go to the professor. He's like, what are you making? Oh, it's a device that makes anyone sound like me. Right. And then like Dwight's like, well, like what's the purpose? Like, who are the consumer targets? What's the marketability? There's no consumers, only targets. Now stop pestering me, you little scoundrels. And like it doubles on itself.
And it doubles on itself, but then it becomes. It's actually quite kind of clever. I like that scene too, because it's quite clever, because when he's a little bit higher because he's like yelling at them, but then the translation of it is changing the tune of like to mimic him, right? So it's like it's being more angry. So I thought that was kind of clever. It's like
I'll say that's my favorite joke.
That's a pretty good one.
Like mind you, it's not like, oh, that's the best thing ever. It's just it's my opinion the strongest one of this kind of like semi-weak episode.
Sure. I also like when they're putting them on the prank delivery or whatever, and like the two of them are taking turns being the professor on that, and he's like, we need you to go to Dog Do 7 because I smell bad, or whatever it is, and then they're both laughing, and it's just the Leela, Fry, and the Bender are just looking at her little watch thing, and they're just watching it light up with laughter, and they don't question it. It's just like, oh, that's the professor being the professor. I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, I like Cubert. Yeah, I like the lines that he has for it and all that stuff. And my only issue, I mean, very, very minor nitpick, because we've kind of talked about it being, you know, part of the episode. My nitpick of it is just like, so yeah, they have their little bike thing that they have with the engine that's propelled by the kinetic energy of their pedaling and all this stuff, and they can go into space, whatever. That neighborhood, we don't really see, like, it's literally an asteroid neighborhood, goes around the like a planet or something or whatever it is, and the houses don't have anything surrounding them. They don't have any like built-in like air filter thing or whatever.
The dog just literally had a fishbowl.
The dog has a little
it was going out. Yeah, like there was no suit for
swimming.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's supposed to be like, yeah, Americana, kind of 1950s Americana, them biking down the road, the dog's chasing them, and it's all these houses that look the same. I get it. It's just, I don't know. I wish they could have done a little bit more to show how the houses are like surviving, aside from like, you can say, oh, there's some kind of force field around it because the dog has a helmet or something.
It's Futurama science, man. Just go with that. Like,
just got to accept. I know.
I know that we, like I think we're used to the not the Hulu run, the Comedy Central run, which is a little more scientific in its humor and stuff like that.
They have
Meanwhile, the Fox run's a little more just like willy-nilly, make it like The Simpsons but in the future kind of thing, right? There's not a lot of thought behind it, but that's why the professor's there to be an old quack who just says various lengths of wire. Right. So,
and to kind of give us that, like, you know, BS explanation for why the science is doing this, right? Like gobbledygons and all this kind of stuff, right? It's just one of those things. But I do like the episode. I think it's Yeah, pretty
If,
mid.
if
a
you
little
want
bit lower or
scientific
whatever,
accuracy, then don't look here.
this is not it. Yeah.
No.
So, any case, anything more to add about the root of all evil?
Oh, I
Oh,
think there
by
was
the
something
way,
else I liked.
well, I just want to
I
say as
can't
well, the
remember.
title of this episode, Root of All Evil, this is root, not as in, because that's a typical
Paper
phrase,
route.
right? Yeah, it's ROUTE, which is like a paper route or like a route to go somewhere, not the root of all evil, which is of course using ROOT, which is like the actual phrase. But I thought that was clever because you would only get that if you had read it, right? Because it's pronounced the same. So in any case, that's why it's called the root of all evil, because it's a paper route kind of thing. So in any case, yeah, sorry, anything more to add about this episode?
I think we always love Hermes going with his sweet something of something, and his was a sweet guinea pig of Winnipeg.
Yeah, call it to
Yeah.
Canada. That's great. Yeah. I like that. So that was a good line, actually. I like that line. Any case. All right. Well, if there's nothing more to say for it, then thank you, man, for joining me. And yeah, we'll talk next week for episode 4 of season 5. I think this is a Zoidberg focused one, The Taste of Freedom, or sorry, A Taste of Freedom. And yeah, we'll see everybody next time for that episode. Have a good one, man. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, you too. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.